Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Connections with Aisha Yuki. My name is Aisha, and I have the pleasure of hosting today Mona Kafeel. Welcome to the show, Mona.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, Aisha.
Walaikum assalam. So I want to first start off by introducing our guest today. Mona Kafeel graduated from UCLA with a bachelor's in economics before moving to Dallas, Texas in 2000. Her other educational accomplishments include certificates in nonprofit management and nonprofit leadership development from SMU. She is an alumnus of the American Muslim Civic Leadership Institute and Leadership Plano. She was awarded Education Mentor by the City of Plano for her work. Mona has dedicated her life and career to being a change maker. Currently the CEO at Texas Muslim Women's Foundation, TMWF, she is instrumental in creating domestic violence shelters that are trauma-informed and culturally specific. Her grassroots community work spans educational and policy initiatives, including being a committee member of the Public Policy Commission of the Texas Council on Family Violence, a committee member of the Asian Advisory Committee to the Congresswoman Eddie Bernice Johnson, senior advisory board member to the mayor of the city of Plano on issues that are important to seniors living in Plano, advisory board member of the Collin County Council on Family Violence, as well as a board member of the Muslims Alliance for Black Lives, known as MABEL. And I also have the pleasure of serving with Mona on the board of the North Texas Islamic Council. So as all of our members know and our guests know, October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And so this is a very special episode, and we are very thankful to have Mona with us today.
Thank you, Aisha. All the list just made me realize that I keep myself busy.
Well, we certainly need you. And I feel like there's just so much going on in the world and so many things that need attention. And oftentimes it's the same people taking on multiple roles and wearing multiple hats. So we greatly appreciate your service to us.
Thank you.
So Mona, I'm going to just go ahead and jump into our first question. What are some common misconceptions that people have about social work, especially in the area of family violence?
So Aisha, in our own countries, like Pakistan, India, we've always had social workers in cities and towns, but they always lacked proper trainings. So they were considered as, yes, these are people helping whoever needs help, right?
Yeah.
People who were well-traveled, people who have the means and money. They never thought social work as a career because it was not something that we as our own community aspire to. I would aspire to be a doctor or somebody who can make money.
Right.
Social workers are not somebody that make money. So that was never a career option for us in our own countries. It was a career choice that we looked into. So in a lot of Middle Eastern countries, that career is looked down upon as well. That, yeah, they're there, that kind of thing.
Right.
So with that connection of the violence, the kind of people that they have seen, the social workers have seen, their work became, or even now is additionally difficult. I know so many social workers, they have escaped from Pakistan because of so much threat, the life threats. Not everybody wants to go in this field.
Right.
That's one thing that we've seen in social work, but in America, it is education, it is a career, and you actually have to have a degree with license as well. So it's a proper career track. And I see so many of our own community members going into this field because you have to have a passion for community work. You just cannot do this if you do not have that. If you don't have it in you, it is a high burnout field. But I'm very happy that a lot of Muslim young girls and boys are joining this field. We need as many as possible.
Yeah, I actually had no idea, that was the perception back in the countries, and that's actually really interesting to know, that so many people just consider social work in other parts of the world as not its own career path. So Wow, that's interesting. And so, you've been in this field, you've been doing this great work, and you've been serving in these different roles. What have you learned? What is something that, if I could say, what can you share in terms of, what you've learned with our audience through your experience at the Texas Muslim Women's Foundation, as well as serving with the Public Policy Commission of the Texas Council on Family Violence?
What I've learned is we cannot do this work on our own. Not a group of 5 women, not a group of 10 or 20 women. It takes a village because the numbers of violence are so high. Right now, if you look around, we are saying each one knows someone. That's how high the rate is. It's not, I've never heard somebody around me going through domestic violence. Now, if you speak to anyone, they will say, yes, they know somebody. That's how high the number is. So when the numbers are so high, it cannot be a work of one organization or few individuals. So what I learned from, and that was amazing experience. If anyone would like to join how policies are created, then you have to join these coalitions. Amazing, amazing work. So what they did and what I learned, that they got 50 to 100 organizations across Texas together in one room.
Okay.
They started off with, so I am a domestic violence agency with a trauma-informed lens. They have children as focus. Some have men as focus. So different agencies with different focuses. They said, here is a blank wall, write all the issues that you face. And then within an hour, that wall had post-it after post-its. Then we found what are our common grounds. So mental health, common ground, gun violence, common ground. So then they start picking those common grounds. And then we built on it. And by the end of those sessions, we literally had some concrete issues that all of us, the 50 and 100 organizations, agreed on. So that is a coalition work, and in domestic violence, coalition building is so critical. We have to have partners. We have to have partners with men, women, doctors, attorneys, lawyers, anyone and everyone. Because this issue is beyond a certain career or education level or even finances. You think it's for people with low income? No, it is anywhere and everyone, education level, everyone. So we need the work with Eddie Bernice Johnson, and also TCFV has taught me that we need business as our partners. Number one, to create awareness. So each time, even now, what I'm presenting is, if there is anyone who's going through domestic violence and they need help, there is a resource available. So that's our objective number one. Objective number two, we need that partnership. Maybe if you have a business, for example, if you have a business, you may want to recruit somebody who's going through domestic violence. Why not give them a chance? So I need those business partnerships. I need partnerships within mosques to relay this information that yes, there is help available. So coalitions and working with these folks have taught me that this work is not in silo. It has to be partnership with many layers and many people.
That's so true. And I mean, that actually leads into my next question I was going to ask you. I mean, the name of the show is Connections, and you are so well connected, mashallah. You worked with Congresswoman Eddie Bernice Johnson on these advisory committees, and so you've definitely been able to shape a perspective around professional networking and community relations, community connections. So in addition to building the coalitions, what would you say to people that are looking to maybe get into this, onto these advisory commissions? I mean, how can they do that?
I tell you, if you have, first thing is you have to be a servant leader. You have to have an attitude of learning. You come to a table and say, I don't know anything. So that's one thing, you get into these coalitions. And the other is, well, I'm willing to learn, but here is what I'm bringing. Because coalitions like that appreciate the experiences of
Mhm.
people, individuals or organizations. So that's the first point. And then why not serve? Our community has grown tremendously over past 20, 30 years.
Right.
We have to show, even now, with so many women and men going into so many directions, even now I still go to places where I'm the only Muslim woman,
Mhm.
even now, especially in Dallas. So I say, let me know if I can plug you in. I cannot clone myself, and there's so many opportunities that I would want our community to be there, be at the table, and be part of a solution. So I think it's how you strategize, how you think, where can you serve? You
Mhm.
may be interested in art, not in human services or domestic violence. You may be interested in something else, but find that passion and give back.
Mhm.
Some of us, like you, people, we're blessed that we are in a position to give back.
Mhm.
Why not? This is our faith. We have to live through our faith. This
Mhm.
is our faith as well.
Mhm. No, that's so true. I was going to ask this question a little bit later, but you did just reference mental health. So I wanted to kind of come towards that a bit. How can spreading awareness around mental health proactively help reduce family violence, in your opinion? And what action items, I mean, I guess at these meetings, or, if you were running a meeting, what action items should community leaders take in addressing the issue of family violence?
First of all, mental health and domestic violence has to be addressed by faith leaders. So that's number one. We cannot hide, we cannot run. It's glaring in our face, and specifically youth and mental health. The prevalence of depression, the prevalence of anxiety, we have to start accepting as community leaders that yes, it is almost at an epidemic level.
Mhm.
So the first thing is acceptance and speaking and identifying. So I think we've had, in Allen in 2020,
Mhm.
when we had these deaths one after the other.
Mhm.
And right after that, I mean, these deaths have not stopped. It is
Mhm.
horrible that parents have to see the children and youth. And when I say youth, I'm also talking about up to 30 years old.
Mhm.
Uh, some attempting suicide and some succeeding, some committing suicide.
Mhm.
And it's very hurtful for the family what they have to go through. But as a community, we everyone has to come up to the table and say it exists in our community. We must accept it, but do something about it. So that's the step number one. And I know mental health professionals and faith-based leaders have been they've started this conversation. I see a lot of masjids bringing in experts, and that's the best part. Bring the experts to speak.
Mhm. Right.
I I should not be the one speaking on something that I don't know about. So faith and that response also needs the faith leaders to be educated themselves. How many issues can an imam handle, from family violence to job security to faith?
Mhm.
How many things they need their own trainings as well. So we set up as masjid leaders, as shura members or president, we have to allow our imams to take those trainings to serve us better. The imams should not be the only ones saying, hey, this is the issue. It has to be the shura members as well, right? And we as an individual, we forget that we are funding the masjids.
Mm.
As a funder, I have every right to ask a mosque, why aren't you talking about this subject? I've been hearing this around.
Yeah.
Masjid is a community space. Organizations such as ours, TMWF, is a community organization. Whatever the community feels,
Mhm.
whatever they see needs to be addressed, we address it.
Mhm.
And speaking of that, the result this year, when I say that we constantly work on feedback, the
Mhm.
feedback that we heard for past 4 or 5 years is elderly abuse.
Mm.
It is under wraps. the women who are 65 and above, 70 and above, being kicked out of their own homes by their own, the sad part, sons. And if you remember, our older women always prayed, may Allah give you sons.
Yeah.
These sons are kicking the mothers out. And I know that it's not because financially they cannot. It's just family unit is breaking down within Muslim communities as well. So 5 years, right? 5 years, we've had clients, elderly clients that we had to support. And this is the time that we had to take an action also. So in March of this year, we have amazing organizations and families. They came forward and supporting this cause. We established a permanent living house for seniors.
Oh, wow.
So I'm trying to get is we as community members, we have to ask mosques, what are you doing? Why are these programs happening and why not happening? They're answerable to us. Just like I am answerable. I am handling your money. This is not my money. I am only a caretaker.
Right.
I have to see what the need is in the community. I put those dollars in that place and I make sure those programs are available. And that's how we as leaders have to see that this is public money. How do I answer? What is the need of the day? So mental health in youth is the need of the day.
Absolutely. And I think, I mean, what you're saying essentially is what you mentioned and referenced earlier in regards to this servant leadership, right? And it's like when you, as a leader, think of yourself as a servant to the public and you feel that sense of accountability that can only come from the inside, right? Like if someone tries to impose accountability on you, that's not going to be something that you take well if you don't have the mindset of a servant leader. So
absolutely, absolutely. Aisha, and I tell you, there are so many things that this country has taught us. We have to take good things, learn from them, right? Not everything in America, we say that, well, them versus us.
Right.
The mindset of servant leader is what I learned from when I used to do carpool for my children, and rain or shine or 110 degrees. I saw schools principals standing out with the children, opening cars, right?
Yeah.
And that's when I learned, and I would think, I never even saw my school principal ever, right?
Wow. Yeah.
And this is the servant leadership. And that's what I learned from this country. That there are so many good things that we pick from this country. The servant leadership is one of them.
Yeah.
We are here to serve.
Yeah, no, that's so true. I mean, I've served in so many roles in high school, undergrad, and they really drill that into you. So that's really an interesting observation that you mentioned about the school principal.
Right.
I want to shift towards recent events in the Pakistani community as it relates to family violence. From Chicago to Houston to Islamabad, 2022 has been a difficult year for Pakistani women, and the alarming rise in family violence and domestic homicide. Charismatic Pakistani women like Sania Khan, Noor Muqaddam, and most recently Sara Inam are making headlines for their tragic murders at the hands of men who they once trusted enough to marry. What advice do you have for women who find themselves in unsafe domestic situations? And what expectations do you have for their families as well?
For women, time and again, I tell them, even my daughter and anyone who's a young girl around me, listen to your intuitions. I cannot emphasize enough. So when you take the examples of even these three, and I'll include Sadia Manzoor in Houston also in that, right?
Absolutely.
So in each of these scenarios, or when it was Sania's situation, she did everything by the law, by the book. In her scenario, family was not supporting. That became a gap. But she did everything according to law. She left her own state, right? It was like, okay, so the gap became family not supporting her. That was it. In Sadia's case, the family was supporting her. Mother was supporting her. that, okay, this is abuse, you need to leave. And
Mm-hmm.
when she reached out to resources such as mosques, they failed her. They
Mm.
didn't give her those resources. Like there is such thing as, there's so many organizations in Houston.
Right.
So at times, system will fail you. At
Mm.
times, your family will betray you, right? Even in case of Pakistan, the girls, this I would for both of those girls, it was emotional roller coaster. The
Mm.
what was the first girl who was killed? Last name is Maktoum.
Noor?
No, she went there to break it off, right?
Right.
And in this case also, they were ready to get married because it happens to people uh, who will give benefit of the doubt. So my advice is, when your heart says something is off, act on it.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it needs resources, whether it needs a conversation with the family, act on it. Women are intuitive beings. We say either men are better, women are better. I don't get into that discussion.
Yeah.
Women are unique. We are unique. Men don't have those intuitions. We do. We have our heart connected to our mind. And when our heart says something is off, trust it.
Mm.
Trust it. And don't continue to say benefit of the doubt. And as young girls, your job is not to fix other people. Each time a girl sees a broken man, or he will, if I give him enough love, if I give him enough respect, he will change. Don't get into that mindset. It's a job of us as mothers to fix those,
Mm-hmm.
not as wives.
Mm-hmm.
And that also brings me to women being accountable to each other as
Mm-hmm.
mother-in-laws,
Mm-hmm.
sister-in-laws. I cannot emphasize how many times I've seen mother-in-laws abusing,
Yeah.
sister-in-laws abusing. Why? So essentially, women betray women as well, because when we take side of our brother or our son, we are betraying another woman.
Yeah, I mean, why do you like, and that was actually one of my questions, and that's great that we're kind of going that way because it's really easy to fault, the men, right? Okay, the men are abusive, and but men are not the only people that make up a household, and we do often see the women in a household enabling the abuse of other women, right? So I mean, I refer to them as the enablers, but why do
Yes.
you think that a woman can sometimes be another woman's worst enemy?
They are, trust me, and I usually use one example that
Hmm.
I've seen. I was invited to in my last 15 years, I've been invited to a couple of social lunches
Sure.
and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And I realized that their daughter-in-law is in my shelter while I am going and meeting, and they having lunches for 7,500 women, just acting normal. Nothing is wrong. Nothing is wrong. And that's when I say, why are women hurting women?
Mm.
Why? So that I think we have to find in our communication, in our conversations, we have to bring each other accountable as well. I
Yeah.
have a 20-year-old. Am I raising him right?
Mm.
And am I addressing, for example, let's say he's bipolar or he is ADHD. Am I getting him treated, or my solution is get him a wife?
Get him a wife. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I've heard that. That just gives me goosebumps. I have witnessed this. I have heard this. It's like, yeah, shadi karwa do theek ho jayega.
Yes, yes, yes.
It's this
Exactly.
horrible mindset. It's so
Yeah.
horrible.
So
Oh,
we have to get away from that mindset, because it's been hurting
mm,
many young girls,
yeah,
many young girls. Yeah.
absolutely. So, there's something that I came across recently that I wanted to ask you. Do you think that there is any correlation with historical trauma from colonialism, to family violence in South Asian families, specifically in our part of the world?
It is. I tell you, there are so many um, ideal that we still carry them even now,
Mm.
right? And in addition to that, the cultures that we have adapted from, right? So when we talk about Pakistan, colonialism. We also bring from Hinduism. So it's like we are Muslims, but we are drawing strengths culturally from those two. And that has affected us very in negative way. Our faith does not say that a woman has to be an older or younger to marry. Our prophet married an older woman, right? Imagine a widowed woman, a businessman, marrying somebody who's way older than her in these days. Well, we cannot, because those are cultural nuances that we've picked up from our old, I guess, part of subcontinent.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? That no, why does a man have to be the older one and the woman has to be the younger one?
Right.
We know culturally, we know that it takes a lot of years for men to mature. Women mature more fast at a faster rate. Those are cultural things that we've picked up from both. Our faith doesn't say that. Right now, if when you go around, mother is looking for a girl 5 years, 10 years younger than the son. Why?
Sure.
So that's one thing. The other is our faith says it does look down upon divorce, but that's not the end of life. And the culture that we've picked up is a stamp, and that is not our culture. Because in other faiths, whether you talk about Eastern faith or even you talk about Western, divorce is not allowed.
Yeah.
Right. So our faith is so progressive that way. It is allowing in Hindu culture, if a husband died, woman had to die with him.
Yeah, Satya.
And so we've regressed that way because our faith does not allow these things. Our faith is beautiful. It is full of common sense. But and that's the result when we follow other cultures.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, this is such an interesting and fascinating conversation. I am coming to the last question of our segment, so we'll just jump into that. There was an award-winning Netflix show recently, and I watched it, and a lot of my friends watched it as well, called Made on Netflix. And it was based on the true story of a woman who was not only the victim of an emotionally and financially abusive marriage, but also was not supported by the legal system. And so it just did such a beautiful job of showcasing that it's not always just physical abuse that is abuse, right? So in light of that, what change would you like to see in the way, since you're in the thick of it, the way that such cases of abuse are handled in our current existing status quo systems?
So first thing, if you remember that even I was amazed to see the kind of abuse that she had to face. So emotional, financial, right? So it's not just physical abuse. So, and when I was reading about this, I thought, okay, this is going to be violence. Do I really want to see this?
Yeah.
But they did not show the actual violence, which was, the way they did it was beautiful. The other thing was in that you saw women do go back to the abuser.
Yes.
Realizing that a woman will go back to the abuser 6 or 7 times before she finally leaves. So us as caregivers, us as a support system, we have to realize that I'm telling her her husband is not supporting her. Why won't she leave?
Yeah.
Leave. But the mindset of that was shown in that the drama Made. The bigger thing is it has an intersection, right? How policies affect, how law enforcement was not able to help.
Right.
And that goes towards us being very proactive in participation of elections. It's a totally different thing, but we have to.
Yeah.
We have to know who are we electing. Are they supporting those our issues?
Oh,
What
wow.
are some issues, right? So
Yeah.
I come back to, have you registered to vote?
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
those are the connecting dots.
Sure.
And if you feel that your friend is supporting somebody, but you have to have your own critical thinking, read up. For me, it's very simple. Any candidate that I see, I look at the background and see, what kind of policies were they initiating or establishing when it comes to women,
Hmm.
immigrants, refugees? That's a simple one for me.
Sure.
And if I see somebody who's not, then they don't get my vote. They don't get my support
Hmm.
because we forget that this dot here is connecting to what you're talking about in Maine,
Right.
right? That's how the policies are made.
Hmm.
So we have to connect that dot and be an active participant. As South Asians, we've learned not to participate in political process
Mm.
because of our own reasons.
Mm.
But this is not this is not Pakistan. This is not India. We have to be active. We have to show one vote can change policies.
Yeah. No,
So
yeah, I appreciate that hopeful, the tone and the
mm,
sentiment and that recognition that, here in the US, we can make a change. We can make a difference based on the people that we elect into office and based on
yes.
the transparency that, we do get when we go to the polls and we see kind of what is their, record in voting in
Mhm.
these different areas. So excellent. Well, thank you so
Mhm.
much, Mona, for your time. Thank you to all of our viewers that tuned in. Again, October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Remember that family violence is not just a private issue; it is a public issue. And we wish you all well, and we'll see you all here again in 2 weeks. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum.